In this video, I'm going to show you how to rough out the goldfinch tail. I've included the whole process in one video, so it can act as a recap of the techniques. It uses the same techniques as the swallowtail. Like I've said before, the goldfinch tail is quite small, so you might find it a little bit fiddly. Take care with your tool handling when you're carving something this small. We'll start by scooping into the underside of the tail. But we need to leave this central area raised. So the first step is to cut in around it using the whittling knife. Use the scoring hold. Like I've said before, it's a bit like holding a pencil. Use all of your fingers to stabilise it. Brace the tailpiece with your spare hand and score around the centre line with the knife tip. You can do this by applying a series of little stabs, like stabbing in a dotted line. Then retrace your steps and join up the dots. Take your time, there's no rush. Here's a close-up. Note that you should keep to the outside edge of the black line. Repeat this on the opposite side. The next step is quite tricky, so watch closely. Brace the tip of the tail with your spare thumb and take your chisel in the thumb hold. Starting with small strokes, work towards the centre with your chisel. The score line acts as a stop cut, so wood should flake away. Keep slicing in towards the centre. From both directions. You'll want to repeat steps 1 and 2 a couple of times. Retrace around the score line with your knife. To make the cut a bit deeper. Then continue slicing in with your chisel. Keep alternating between steps 1 and 2. To remove wood at the base of the tail, slice straight across the grain. We're now going to switch to using the chisel full time. Here I am using a variation of the pencil hold, holding the blade halfway down the shaft. We're going to use this to clean up the ridge around the central area. Instead of scoring round the edge with your knife, slice vertically downwards with your chisel. This move is difficult to demo without blocking the camera, so I hope you get the idea. Once you've tried this, you can slice back into the centre again, like in step 2. Now alternate between steps 2 and 3, using your chisel for both steps. This is what you're aiming for before moving on to the next step. A ridge has formed around the centre area, and the carving of the underside now follows the pencil line. Next, carve away the shaded areas on the top side. Carving with the grain works best for this with the goldfinch tail. Rotate the piece to carve each of the 3 corners. Continue to use the thumb hold, bracing the piece with your spare hand. For this step, I'll just show you a speedy overview, so you get the idea. Here's what to aim for before moving on to step 5. Now we'll move on to refining the shape of the tail. First, we'll whittle around the top side edge. Start by carving towards the tail base. Use the whittling hold. Do this on both sides. Next, carve around the tail tips. You can also carve the top edges of the tail. Once you've whittled the top side edges, it should look something like this. Next, whittle around the underside edge. Repeat the same process, but this time only remove a small amount of wood, so that it looks something like this. You can also clean up any saw marks along the edges. Here's what to aim for. There's just 2 small steps left to do. Carve away the rest of the underside label using the thumb hold. Finally, using the pencil hold again, curve off the edge of the central ridge. Here's one final look at what you're aiming for in this video. Remember, there's also some footage in video 13 as well, if you need more reference. In the next video, we'll be moving on to carving the details of the puppet, starting with the facial features.